Upon returning to Las Vegas from my summer vacation work-study time away, I submitted myself to a battery of routine medical screening appointments, you know those. And during one of these, the physician and I got into a conversation about a television program on evolution I had seen the night before. The premise of the show was that when we humans learned to cook our food, less energy was needed to digest the raw materials we need for sustenance, and thus more energy was available to develop our ever larger brains, smaller stomachs, bigger brains. I found that to be a delicious idea, pardon the pun, and I was delighted to be able to be discussing it with a gastroenterologist. You take every opportunity you can get. But then something very curious happened. In the process of our conversation, he realized that I was clergy. And he suddenly started lecturing me on the validity of evolution over biblical knowledge. And warning me not to take the Bible literally and to pay attention to evolution. I was stunned. I haven't taken the Bible literally since I was 20 years old, and that was some time ago. I found myself protesting his assumption that because I'm clergy, I am bound by the Bible. He simply could not grasp that concept. Clearly, in his mind, science and religion are incompatible, and therefore religion is to be dismissed, and he needed to let me know that. And no wonder that a scientifically trained physician would think this. For virtually all major religious traditions being practiced today are flat earth cosmologies. In other words, worldviews that came into existence when we the people believed that the earth was flat. Think about that for a moment. Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha, Lao Tzu, all lived before we humans became aware that the earth is round and that it revolved around the sun rather than the other way around. Contemplate that for a moment. If you need something visual to focus on, look at the top of my stole. When Colleen designed it, she deliberately put a splash of sunshine on my shoulders. Focus on that sunshine, the light of our star that gives us life. Can you really grasp that we live in a vast cosmos? Our responsive reading said it so well. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come, stardust and sunlight, mingling through time and through space. Out of the stars have we come. What difference does grasping that make? All the difference in the world. What we the people believe about our place in the cosmos frames how we live our lives. For instance, believing that we are the center of the universe has had dire consequences on our personal, social, political, and spiritual beliefs and practices. I recall standing on the south rim of the Grand Canyon during my sabbatical time there and listening to the park rangers tell the tourists about the 2 billion years of Earth's history that was spread out into the canyon floor before them. We were standing on rocks that were 265 million years old. We were tracing our fingers across fossils from our water-based ancestors. But many of the tourists, still steeped in a cosmology that said the Earth was created a mere 5,000 years ago, refused to accept what they were seeing and hearing. It is far easier to ignore the geologic record of the planet than to reconstruct your whole worldview. But our scientific knowing of the cosmos has leapfrogged beyond worldviews of religious cosmologies that became institutionalized thousands of years ago. We live in a whole new era. No wonder religion has become irrelevant for so many of us. But although the outdated answers may be meaningless except on a figurative level, more on that to mention later, the human need to ask the questions does not go away. It is not enough to intellectually know the what about our emergent universe. We, the people, are hardwired to ask, so what? When we ask, where did we come from? We follow that question with, why are we here? Where are we going? And what is the point of it anyway? So then, what does knowing that we evolved out of star stuff really mean for the way I live my life? For the way you raised your children? For the way we all participate in society, the society in which we live? And how each of us individually connects to the ground of all being and becoming. That's what cosmology is. A framework, a lens that shapes our worldview out there and within ourselves. Thus, I embrace the premise that we need a new cosmology for a new day, for our era. We are in the midst of a paradigm shift in consciousness, and we can choose to be part of it or not. That is our challenge. I would like to suggest that we help co-create it. For ours is a faith tradition in which we have always been advised to read the Bible as if it ended not with a period, but with a comma. In other words, there's always more wisdom being revealed through our human awareness, if we can and will, but pay attention. So, how, where do we start? Well, that's what I'm proposing that we do this year. Start. Thus, I am offering this monthly worship series on Cultivating Universal Consciousness, to be followed, as I said before, by the companion workshop on Cultivating the Universal Self in the library after the service, not today. Cultivating Universal Consciousness and the Universal Self begs the question, what do I mean by universal? For starters, I mean to refer to the universe itself. In the words of mathematical cosmologist Brian Schwimm, the story of the universe that has come out of 3 centuries of modern scientific work will be recognized as a supreme human achievement. The scientific enterprise, a central gift to humanity, a revelation having equal status to that of the great revelations in the past. Suddenly, the human species as a whole has a common cosmic story. Islamic people, Hopi people, Christian people, Marxist people, and Hindu people, and yes, Mormon people too, can all agree in a basic sense on the birth of the sun, the development of the earth, the species of life, and human cultures. For the first time in human existence, we have a cosmic story that is not tied to one cultural tradition or to a political ideology, but instead gathers every human group into its meanings. I hope you hear reflected in this universalist aspect, the aspect of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. Our tradition began with the belief that if there was such a thing as heaven, if there is such a thing as salvation, it's available to everyone, universally, not just those who believed in a certain way.